him for a lot of reasons. You feel me? But like what I mean by laid back, you know, he wasn't so about like working. He was like very laid back with like career, you know, and he was very laid back about career. He didn't really like have a lot of focus or like, and that was like not something that my parents were into. But also he was just like laid back and he dressed pretty like sloppy, and they didn't like that
Like,
either.
what do you mean by sloppy? Like, how he dressed?
He would just always be in like weird sweats, you know? And they were just like, why is this guy in sweats? Like, especially my grandma, like he would have like he's from like the suburbs. He would have like flip flops. He would have like, just, not flip flops, but like he would just be around in like slides and like sweats, and they just couldn't get their heads around that. Like, why isn't he more pulled together looking? And like, why isn't he more like about career? Why is he like very unfocused? You know what I mean? That's how they perceived him, and he was unfocused.
Did he have a job or?
He had a job, but you know, he just didn't really care a lot about it. And like, you know what I mean? At the time, you know.
How old was he?
At the time, he was like, mid-20s. Whoops. Yeah.
Why you say whoop?
We've all dated a dub, you know? And you look back and you're like, yeah, they were a dub, you know? Like, my dad was right. Like, this guy was kind of a dub, you know? He does his own thing, but, you know, kind of a dub. A little laid back, a little too laid back.
Too laid back.
A little bit too laid back.
So the family was right, all in all.
Family was right, all in all. You know, the slides weren't popping, and like he needed this. It was just funny though, because he did come over to my house, and that was the time my grandma had met him, and for the first time, and she was like really taken aback that he was in these like slides and like these like casual like basketball shorts. She just kind of couldn't get around that. Like, she was like, wow, like to meet the family and like to arrive in this. And she thought it was like very unusual too that he had like come from New Jersey, and that like she felt like that was more like housewear. Like, these are like house shoes, these are slides, this is like, she just kept asking. She was like, you got on the bus like this, you came like miles like this, and he was just like, yeah. And she was just, you know, like black people always get cold, and like white people are just like chilling, they're out here. But she was like, and you're not cold, like it's Thanksgiving, you know?
She said that to him?
Yeah, just like you're not cold, like you came all the way out here, you know? Like,
for Thanksgiving.
you know? It was like holiday season. It wasn't actual Thanksgiving time, but it was like kind of like more like getting into the colder weather. And she was just like, you know. In fact, like, he never spent Thanksgiving in my house. I spent some Thanksgivings with him. I spent like,
how long y'all together?
Like years.
Years?
Yeah, a few years. Wow. A few years. You know, yeah, he wasn't always a dub. I mean, there were other aspects that made him not a dub. But like all in all, I'd have to say.
So what was the aspects that wasn't a dub? What did you like?
What I liked about him was that he's one of those people, like the good parts are the good parts, but the bad parts are the really bad parts, and it's not worth it. That's what I came to. But what I initially liked, what attracted me to him was he does care very much. It's the thing, like he was a dub because his behavior was bad. He was just like a very toxic person that didn't know how to like communicate or get along with other people. But he was someone that would like be there for you. Like if you needed them at 2 a.m. to come help you, like he would be there. And he was very encouraging. Like he was always there. Like, you need to model, like you want that and you should go for it. And like, you can do whatever you want. You're smart. You can put your mind to it. So he's very like supportive in those ways, and just somebody that like I knew had my back in a lot of ways. Like he would just kind of like be there and all of that. But just his whole, and he could be very like loving and like very like generous person. Like if he knew that like you needed something, he would try to surprise you with something that you needed for your work or whatever to like get it done, you know. Like if right now if he knew like I needed a tripod, like he would probably be on Amazon trying to get a tripod and send it to be like, I got that for you because like I know you're working and like you need a tripod. So he did a lot of nice things, but his whole personality, he was just somebody that was like too broken to really connect with other people in a meaningful way. So he was like very toxic, and it was just like, you know, he was just very this toxic person. Like, you know, you can't deal with that. It's not cool to be supportive on the one hand, but then very like loud and intense and like, you know, abusive on the other side because now you're flipping out and like all that. So he had different sides. That's one thing that's what my parents really hated about him, was that he could like flip out and be this like toxic, verbally abusive type of person. Like
How
this.
did you know?
I mean, just because like when you live with parents, like, you know, they hear you on the phone. He's definitely been to our home a lot over the years, so they like were witness to like some arguments and stuff. And then just like, you know, his career, like he just wasn't super focused. Like he had like multiple jobs, like different jobs, but it was just like, what are you about? What are you really like going for? So there were a lot of like different pieces to him, you know. A dub, you know, you learn, like I say a dub because it's like you learn, you wouldn't go back and date them again, but you learn from it things about yourself, things about other people, what you're looking for and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Have you dated any dubs? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yeah.